It's got to be hard on Sanford, you know. See, he sold that farm to my brothers, and he thought that they were going to keep farming, you know. The rest, that's what he wanted. He wanted to have it as a farm, and that was it. He didn't want anything else. So it meant a lot to him, you know, that farm. And now it's over and done with, I guess. It's sad, but it's one of them things, I guess. Progress, maybe, I don't know what you'd call it.
They needed the land. I said, yeah, I'll sell it. And they had it appraised for farmland.
So what was it worth as farmland?
$268,000, I think. I never thought it would be sold for development. That's how much I trusted them. It didn't work out that way. Money talks. I heard they got $2 million for it. I don't know. They never told me.
The gal I loved, I recall so well, where I saw her last. She was standing in waist-high waves of prairie grass. The yellow barn had no machines. The silver silos had no grain. On the farm west of town, in my family's name, and I have forgiven the Big Red River for doing what she done.
This farm has been in the family for 100 years. I never had no idea of doing some other kind of work. I never went to college. I wanted to go to college, but my parents couldn't afford it. So my father told me, if you want to be a farmer, stay on the farm. You'll get better experience there than you would if you went to college. I think I've done pretty good.
Sanford came to work for my father when I was born. I've known Sanford ever since. So I'll be 71 in December, and I've known him all that time, you know. He worked for my dad for years and years and years. And then he got his own farm, but he's always thinking about somebody else, you know. He's great, you know, great man. And I mean, he was always willing to help you. I mean, that was Sam. We remodeled all them old barns we used to have, and he used to come and help us. He had stuff to do on his own farm, but he'd come up and help, you know, my father and I, you know, and he'd work there with us till 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then he'd go home and do his stuff. And he's still part of my family, I know that, you know. He really is. We used to have a lot of fun when we were kids. And he used to go ice skating with us, and Sam did. You know, we'd shovel the pond. They had a Bonesteel's had a pond there, and we used to go over and shovel paths through the pond on the ice. And then at night time, after we got done with the chores, we'd all go ice skating. And we'd go over there and we played tag around through all them paths. I can still see Sam going around with that smoking. He always smoked a pipe. And he'd be skating around and sparks would be flying right out the top of the pipe, chasing. We used to have a lot of fun with Sam. He was always helped us kids, you know. I think he's still got it in his heart. He'd love to be on the equipment. Yeah, you know, it really does. I mean, he was in his glory, right, you know, doing that stuff. But he was just happy to do that, you know. He really was. You could see it. He just glowed.
When I was working here on this farm, we done everything with horses. We used to pedal milk every day, go to the city of Troy, and pedal customer door to door.
Sam loved them horses, you know. Gosh, one time he was mowing hay someplace, and he got in a swarm of bees. He said that was the fastest ride he ever had back to the barn. He said them horses just took off, went through the fences, they went through everything. They stung the heck out of horses, and Sam too.
I always used to like to ride horses, but it didn't matter to me whether they were horses or what they were. But if the horses worked hard all day, you didn't ride them. My grandfather wouldn't let you. He would never sell a horse. He always figured they used him all right, and he would never let anybody else get him to refuse him or something. They stayed here until they died. When we got married, she was making $7 a week. He only had every other Sunday off, and I was only making $5 a week. My father said, well, why don't you go up and see George? He's looking for a man. So I went up and saw him, and he hired me. I got $10 a week.
My father and Sam were just like brothers. And then after my mother passed away, Sam always came out and ate with my dad every lunchtime. He'd bring his lunch. You know, he couldn't take anything from you, but his floor would pack him a lunch, and he would always eat with my father, you know.
He was an honest man. And a lot of other people think the same way. Oh yeah, I could have sold it 30 years ago. I could have sold it to a development, but I didn't want it. I come over here one day with a $300,000 check, all made out to me. And he told me, he says, that's only the down payment. So I don't know what he figured on paying. I never put a price on it. I didn't want to see it filled up. This was my life.
I'm 59 years old. I was born in Brunswick, so I've lived here my whole life. We've been farmers for a long, long time. Sanford Bonesteel and his wife came to work for my parents when my parents got married. That was quite a few years ago. So that's where the Bonesteel started, with the Harringtons, Sanford. He's been part of the farm forever.
You know, 4 generations of Harringtons have farmed in the town of Brunswick. I moved here when I was a year old. All I ever wanted to do was farm. I had an excellent opportunity to remain in the service. I was a captain in the Army after graduating from Cornell University. All I want to do is come back to this community and farm. And I'll probably do that till the day I die.
In 1966, the Rensselaer County agent came out. He says, you know, you don't have enough income with your cows you're milking to support 3 families on that farm. And my brother Kenny says, well, he says, I'm going to stay on the farm, you know. So I says to my brother, I says, well, I don't want to see my dad lose the farm over you and I, you know, arguing about who's going to stay and who isn't going to stay. So I said, I'll go out and do something different for a while, you know. So I went to get a job driving truck, and then I never really went back on the farm. Then my brother Phil, he was about 12 years younger than I am. You know, it was going good, so he got on the farm. So it was him and my father and my brother Kenny, you know. They went with the farming, and I did my thing, you know.
Farm people, I go back to my dad, my father, and I take a lot of pride in this. He would shake your hand, and he would make you a promise, or he would give you his word, and his word was golden. And we had neighbors that were farmers, and the big majority of them were the same. And we all had the same situation. We all worked hard. We all worked on Sunday, so we all had the same challenges. And everybody helped everybody. And as the years went on, I don't know, people moved in, and you know, all due respect, whether they're engineers or attorneys, I don't feel that love from them.
Oh, it's changed an awful lot. Years ago, farmers helped one another. But now you don't see that no more. If you were thrashing grain, 4 or 5 different farmers would come and help you, and then you'd go and help them when they got ready. And they worked together more. Now, everybody's for themselves.
I don't think you'd see the farmers too much today, this day and age, helping each other, you know. They more or less, you know, do their own, and that was it, you know. Years back, the farmers used to buy one piece of equipment and they'd share it. It worked out good because back them days the money wasn't too plentiful, you know. You didn't have the big equipment like you do today, you know. We didn't have the big headaches neither. You know?
I still think farmers are people from the earth. I mean, people that really, their integrity means something to them, and their reputation, their word means something. So I'm not saying business people are all bad, I'm not saying that, but farmers, we all live the same life, so we all relate. And we all know we got hardship, so if you have a hardship, I'm gonna help you. That's just the way we're brought up.
If that's so, we wasn't making enough, what could we do? Taxes got so high that we couldn't pay the taxes, and so we had to give up. So they wanted to buy it, and so we finally decided to sell it to them, and we had an appraised for farmland, and that's what they done.
When we bought the farm from Sanford, he kept the right to live in the house.
Well, they decided that they could do that anyway, let me live in the house.
And when we bought that, our idea was to buy that farm and keep it farming. We did not go in there and say, Sanford, yeah, we'll buy it and it'll be farming forever.
Well, we've always been friends with them, and I never thought they would pull some kind of deal like that.
Developers come and say, you want to sell the rest of it? So I went to my brother, you want to sell the rest of Bonesteel? No. We're farmers, we buy land, we don't sell land. I said, they just offered us $2 million. And my brother, So now the tough part. Now we got to go back to Bonesteel, which I did not want to do, and my brother did not want to do, and say, Sanford, we just got offered big money for this. I know you're born here, your grandfather, your uncle, that was very, very difficult. And my brother and myself went down, sat around the table, and said that he and his wife, Flora, we got offered $2 million. That's what we got offered for this. And Sanford said, that's a lot of corn.
They never said nothing to me about it. It was, everybody in the town knew it, and it was told before I heard anything about it. My neighbors, they want to know what was the matter with me and give it away and everything. They never come to talk to me about selling it.
I certainly, you know, if this day ever came when I had to make a decision, my brother and myself, we didn't want Sam to be part of this. You know, we were hoping this was going to happen down the road if it had to happen. But the unfortunate thing is, you know, Sanford, not unfortunately, but Sanford's alive, doing well, sharp, and then at the same time we're approached with this big money thing. We could say no, but would that opportunity come again? I don't know.
I never thought the day would come that we would own this. They tell me there's going to be 168 houses from McChesney Avenue over to the end of the farm. Of course, it hasn't went through yet, but I think it's going to go through. I don't know.
So what I try to do is take that property and be able to sell it and make enough money where I could set my children up and my wife and my brother could take care of his family. But at the same time, I could fill a need in town where maybe people didn't have to move. They could move to this development. Would I like not doing anything? Yeah, that'd be great. But what I've done is I try to cluster that, make 75 to 80% of it left untouched, leave the rolling hills.
How did it make you feel to hear about the plans that were being made for this place?
It broke my heart.
Some residents in Brunswick are concerned about several housing projects that they estimate will increase the town's population by a third. A public meeting is scheduled tonight on one of the proposals, and that project calls for single-family and carriage homes that would be built on land owned by the town supervisor and his brother, a county legislator. Members of Brunswick Smart Growth, a citizens action group, say they're concerned about the project's impact on the school district, quality of life, and traffic on Route 7.
I don't think of myself as a builder of roads and a builder of homes. I think of myself as a creator of living environments.
The increase in vehicle delay at any of these study intersections is no more than 4 seconds as a result of this site. I know you laugh.
We'll have meal delivery, we'll have grocery delivery.
We would have 130 carriage homes.
The proposed 190 lot residential subdivisions
We propose 120 condominiums.
to 668 total units.
106 subdivided residential lots and 204 independent living senior apartments.
And I'd like to say that when I got here tonight, I heard something from one person in the room to another. Gentleman over here on this side of the room got out of his chair and walked over to a gentleman over here on this side of the room and said, "Hello, neighbor." And that's something you don't see very often anymore.
It will be the first intergenerational community in the area with a mix of housing products, generations, and cultures. It's a community that will be active and fun.
Anything else you could think of for now?
Welcome to the town, guys.
I live here.
What I would like to do is make a brief presentation about the project, about the site. Then Bob Maridi will make a further presentation about the types of homes that we would like to build there. This is a 210-acre parcel that's located on McChesney Avenue Extension. What we're proposing is a variety of single-family homes. We would have 130 carriage homes, which are designed for the empty nester buyer. Now that's a person who desires to have single-family residence in the town, but does not want to have the maintenance of a large lot. So this empty nester product would come with a landscaping package, and there'd be 130 of those homes. The next type of home we would have would be what we call traditional single-family homes. There are 39 of these. The third type of home, what we call our manor homes, which are a little more upscale, a little more luxury type home. And we would have 21 of these types of homes.
Farmers don't want to sell their land, but at the same time, farmers have always been taught that our land is our equity because we don't have a retirement plan. We have land. That's our equity.
I've been accused of being a developer rather than a farmer. I'd like to clarify that a little bit. You know, we talk about open space, and you ought to look and see who keeps the open space open.
You people got a lot of good things you said, a lot of sensible things you said. But if I felt the way you people felt, none of you would have been here, most of you wouldn't have been here, because we wouldn't have wanted you here.
I see a lot of signs, the Brunswick Smart Grow signs, actually in front of houses that are on fields that I baled hay, or I knew somebody who plowed or cultivated in some fashion.
We have had no intentions of selling any of this land. We have sold one lot in my entire lifetime. But you know, I think you ought to understand the plight of the farmers today, and I don't think most of you in this room even have a slight understanding of that.
Your smart group ought to knock on the doors instead of getting petitions for donations and start buying some of this land, and we'll keep Brunswick rural the way you want it. Or else you're going to let the farmer who's been working for about 70 cents an hour, that's all right, as long as they're doing it, and keep that land the way you want them to keep it. But the minute they got to do something with it, you got a petition going up. But everybody in here is going to get their retirement.
People that have known me my whole life, known my father, you can say anything about me, and you know, I'm not perfect, but they're not going to believe a lot of this stuff because they know. But people that are moving to town now that don't know anything about me, they're going to believe whatever people say.
It's a beautiful town. You know, I was a cheerleader in high school. Every home basketball game we had to sing the alma mater, "Mid the rolling hills of Brunswick, with the sky so blue." It's not my goal to have those hills covered with houses. I'm sorry, it's just not. So I saw an article sometime early December of 2004 that there were these plans to construct a Walmart supercenter about a half a mile from where our existing Walmart discount store is, and right next to a 23-acre wetland. I mean, these were vistas, a beautiful hillside, you know, the wetland, and the Walmart supercenter would be right there on 33 acres carved out of the side of this hill, and it just blew me away. And a couple of us went to that meeting and asked some questions about the Walmart supercenter proposal, and then come to find out that there were these 4 other huge proposals for residential development that I wasn't aware of. And it was overwhelming. What a few of us did at that meeting that night was we exchanged emails quickly in the lobby, made a couple of phone calls, and we had a potluck dinner here on February 24th. We decided on a name for the group. We decided on a focus for the group, which would be basically just trying to inform people in the town about what's going on, because that wasn't happening. There's an impression out there that these are done deals, that someone somewhere behind closed doors or whatever has already made these decisions. So we're trying to get the word out that, that there's still hope.
The future of Brunswick scares me. It really does. And how do I keep it rural? Farmers should be able to do whatever they want to, with their land to a point, but I don't want to just ruin it for everybody. Brunswick's right there on the edge. That's my concern. I don't know whether we can convince people that we need to save some of Brunswick. Farmers love the farm. I mean, all of us that's been born on a farm, we don't want to do anything else. So whatever it takes for us to make a living, if we can make a living, if we can make a profit, we're going to keep farming forever.
People have mentioned the preservation of farmland as, one of their alternatives to growth. The truth of the matter is that agriculture is dead in this state. It's not just this town. This town is particularly susceptible because it was marginal farmland years ago. It's no longer viable.
Everybody that I looked up to, all of a sudden, they're all 75 and 80, and the younger generation said, hey, that's too hard to work, a lot of them. We don't want to farm.
People in agriculture, they love the land, they want to keep going. I know I'm involved in agriculture. There's people that are pushing around machinery, riding in cars that I wouldn't ride in because they're unsafe, because they're just trying to keep going.
Well, yeah, you have to like it. If you don't like it, like our son, he was in the service, he was involved in the service. He helped us for a year, and that was all. He said, there's got to be an easier way to make a living. So he left. He wouldn't give you 2 cents for a farm.
The farms, they're extinct. Just about all of them are gone, That was the big industry, farming. It was big time, Today is nothing. The older generation grew up, or got done, and the younger generation just didn't bother with it most of the time,
We have to buy tractors, and the tractors are $150,000. Our chopper machinery is $400,000.
To start up farming today, I mean, you could, you'd have to have millions of dollars, If you got that kind of money, you might better take and relax, I guess.
The Bolson family has a connection to the town of Brunswick from the late 1700s. I'm concerned about the number of farms that are remaining in the town of Brunswick today.
CSA, Community Supported Agriculture, it makes a great deal of sense because it allows the members who buy a share for the year to become part of the farm. And it allows us to have a really close relationship with them.
I met Linda at the farmer's market in Troy, and we're both cancer survivors. And we choose this way of life to stay healthy, and for others and my friends.
The impetus to ensure a quality product falls directly on the Bolsons. We know every one of our customers. We know them by name. We see them face to face at least once a week. It's important for us to do the best job we can.
While it's not like maybe what has been done in the last 50 years, is very, very much like it had been done 100 years ago. And it is a way of life. It is absolutely a way of life. It's a very physically exhausting thing sometimes because a lot of our work is done by hand.
Linda and I are extremely committed to what's going on here, but this young lady right over there next to her mom is the one who is really committed too, and we're helping develop this farm so that she can continue to farm because she loves agriculture as well.
The notion that though farms have run their useful life and now they're going to be houses. How scary is that? Where do people think that their food is going to come from? And this is an opinion that's shared by the majority of people. If your organic food came from California and you're in Albany, New York, I mean, maybe that's what you want. Maybe that's what's important to you. We use organic practices, but we also try and farm in a way that's sustainable.
There's a lot of young people, and they're looking for rewards that maybe aren't strictly financial. There are opportunities, and there's a lot of people that are interested in this today, and that's exciting to me.
I still feel as though the people here in town, they want to be able to look at some open land here. They don't want every single hill that has a lovely vista to have a house perched on it. And that's a hard thing. You know, we could make a lot more money growing houses here than we could grow vegetables for sure. But it's just not what we're about. So.
...1917 Model T Ford touring car.
I rode a good many miles in one of them when I was a kid.
Yeah?
That's all we drove, my father and grandfather, and that's all it was made.
You had to have that or nothing, right?
Yep.
You used to start it, you said you used to, when it got cold or something, you jack up the back wheel, one wheel, right? And then spin the tire with your hands, and that'd turn the motor over and start it. When you couldn't crank it, right?
Without a word, unblinking eyelash with a clear.
Got that old Model T from my Uncle Carol, and Sam got it all running for us, and he used to take care of it, all maintain it, and showed me how to run it, drive it and stuff, and I drove it. I was only probably about 8 years old, and I was driving that thing all over the place. Like the old days, man. Yeah.
Well, would you dare to bless his silence as he walks away sincere without a word?
Yeah, he's a nice guy. He's more like his father.
I don't know what leaves him silent. I don't know.
I hate to see Sam, you know why you couldn't have waited a little bit, you know, but Sam had to see everything like that. My brothers, I mean, that's their dealings.
Silent, I don't know. I don't know what leaves him silent in the evening. If a man walks with purpose, if a man walks with purpose, if a man.
Well, we got a little ride in, you know. He was driving years ago. He was driving and I was riding. Now I can drive and let him ride. Take chance. Right, Sam?
Yeah.
call the meeting to order. Wouldn't please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
I'm not convinced that the people on our town board have the expertise to assess the cumulative impact of all of these projects together. You know, these are just townspeople who are in these elected positions doing the best they can. It is overwhelming without a town planner, without hiring somebody to really look at all these things together. Who's going to do that? And that's scary to me.
The town leadership, I think, is very old-fashioned, very backwards in its views of its responsibilities. I don't think they have any sense of limitations. And I think the idea of planning for where you put things, where you develop, where you leave open land and so forth, though, derives from the realization that there are limitations.
Why do you think all those guys get into it, into politics?
The reason why farmers get in politics, if you go to a town board meeting and there's an issue that comes up and you sit there and there's like 50 people in the room and they're screaming about something, you look up and there's 5 people on the board that's going to make a decision. We have a lot of land, farmers. The only way I'm going to have a say is be one of those 5 people. And that's what farmers are thinking. That's why they get involved, because they want input.
Aside from the Harringtons, what vested interest does that town board have to just bull through all of this development?
Mr. Clementi owns a cement business.
Yeah, right there.
Thank you.
Carl, that's the tough part, because Carl's a businessman, family, big business, but if you're in business in the town, such as myself, or he's in the gravel business and the blacktop, whatever you do, it's hard because you're in business. Whatever you do is going to affect you a little bit. So that's the line you walk.
No doubt, these 5 projects or whatever's on the board, between concrete and aggregates, there's $1 million worth of business there. And I'm just wondering how you can barely vote supporting the people when you've got the possibility of making hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, it's another personal shot, just like the last guy. If that's the best you can do. The only thing this job has ever done for me is probably hurt me in my business. If you were to come out of Grafton with a cheap shot like that, go on back to Grafton.
That's not a cheap shot.
It is a cheap shot.
Is it true that Mr. Kestner is supposed to be looking out for the public interest in conducting an objective review of the development proposal? Is that an accurate representation of your? My understanding is that you are yourself a developer.
Yes.
And I would question the prudence of appointing a developer to review
Considering how long Phil has been on the town board, how the closeness that has existed between him and the other members of the town board, I find it virtually impossible to believe that this town board will consider this project purely on its merits without respect to existing and long-standing friendships and connections. I apologize.
I do understand people are saying, hey, he's a supervisor, he had an inside track. But what's important to me is I have to do what I feel comfortable with. I got to be able to look at people. And I'm not going to do anything dishonest, trust me. I'm not.
never went to none of them meetings, so I don't know how people feel. I've heard a lot of people are against this building project.
Now, I want to ask a question to everybody in the audience. Anyone in favor of this project? Is anyone against this project? Yay! Okay, we just want to make that point.
Who is manning the scales here is what I want to know. I don't know if you talk to your neighbors, but your neighbors are not for this. I guarantee it. Take a survey in your neighborhood, and you're going to find that the people are not in favor of this. And that's just what it comes down to.
I think all of Brunswick should get treated the same. So if they don't feel that they're get represented well, or people on the board have a personal interest, that's where you need to get involved with politics. And I had a lot of people say to me, I went to Brunswick Smart Growth, member of Brunswick Smart Growth, but it just got too political. You go to a board meeting and all you talk about is, how to throw me out of office.
We need an open government here. I mean, it's very, very frustrating to go to a town board meeting where there's really no give and take. There's no real dialogue.
The purpose of these public hearings is not to provide a debate or a question and answer.
Tonight is a public hearing for all you people to come and listen, to try to get informed, Trust me, you are going to be informed. Trust me.
Comments, I can assure, are not falling on deaf ears, either procedurally or substantively.
An expanding road system, page 3.25. While the area has, of course, experienced increased traffic.
There's a huge misconception that we're not listening to people. I'll stop and talk to anybody about anything, anytime. We're not turning a deaf ear to the people here.
The new access roads will probably entail large areas of open space.
When you're on this board, the rule of law applies. Not emotion, the law applies here.
One thing that I do want to make sure of is we do everything 100% legally.
I don't doubt that everything was done legally. Let's make sure everything's done ethically.
Having witnessed one of these before in your development, I said that Mr. Gilchrist, after the first one, was somewhere between a cheerleader and a facilitator for the developers. And I have to change my opinion. Now I say he's somewhere between a salesman and a full partner for the developers. Mr. Gilchrist had met continuously with the developers on this. How many times did he meet with anybody else in the community about this?
Well, you're saying he's like a cheerleader for the developer. He's not.
In my opinion,
Thank you.
I have lots of examples of this. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. The fox is in charge of the chicken coop here,
Anybody else? Last chance.
I'd like to put a little more human face on this project. There's a 90-year-old man named Sanford Bonesteel that has farmed this land for quite a bit of time. I've talked to him twice now, and Ken and Phil Harrington assured him when they bought the land that they were going to continue farming it. This is not secondhand information. This is information that I got directly from Sanford.
The only reason I sold it to them was that I thought it would be a farm all the rest of my life and all the rest of their life. But no chance of that now.
And a lot of people talk to him now, and I don't know whether he's saying, well, they could have kept it farming, however they sold out for big money, and I understand that if he does feel that way. Yeah. But I don't know what to do about it,
Well, maybe they won't start building no more.
I want to make that very clear. That's a very real situation that's upon us. And what happens at this juncture and this time with the people that sit in this room and the people that sit on that board is going to change the face of this town forever.
I think we've done a decent job on this, and we've covered all the points that are out there. We're not going to make everybody happy on what we do, but I think that this town board has done a good job on flushing out all the facts and come up with a decision on this.
Resolution number 37, resolution approving the Highland Creek PDD application. Foregoing resolution offered by Councilman Salvi and seconded by Councilman Clementi is put to a roll call vote as follows. Councilman Salvi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Abrams.
Aye.
Councilman Clementi.
Aye, and I'd like to make a comment too besides ayes. We've heard a lot over the last couple of months about, preserving Brunswick, and I don't think a project, like this should be on every corner in Brunswick. We've crossed our T's, we've dotted our I's. I think the town's done an incredible job here, so have you, Mark. So, thank you.
Councilman Polito.
Aye.
Foregoing resolution is thereupon declared duly adopted.
We just went through an election, and that was a whole campaign, basically, with me cashing in, making big money, and I got elected again. So I like to think there's people out there that know the history and understand it, and people that tried to spin it. So I feel a little bit better that I did get elected through this whole thing.
This board passed on a project in which one of their members, not only one of their members, but the head of their board, the supervisor, had a financial interest. And everybody I talk to, they don't have to be legal scholars or legal experts, say, it's wrong. It's wrong.
We take our job very seriously up here, and sometimes you wonder, we get banged up a little bit. But it's awful rewarding, and it feels good to have a good, healthy election in Brunswick and get the support of the general public. And we do appreciate it. We're going to continue on doing what we've been doing. So.
Initially, at least myself, I thought that maybe we could work with the government. Just giving them the benefit of the doubt, thinking that they're there to represent the people, and what has turned out is it's a good old boys party. They're there to represent themselves and take what they can.
Exactly.
Well, obviously, considering the results of the last election, the majority in the town likes the way things are going so far.
The town has done some things right. I mean, obviously, in terms of being in the black, watching that bottom line, people are aware of that and people are appreciative of that. There seems to be culturally a little bit of a shift back towards a rational, look at how human beings should live and revitalization of urban areas and the ideas of the farms, feeding people.
Once we held our hands out in front of us to slow our sisters down.
And I think other people in Brunswick would like to see more development in the cities, just in terms of the efficiency of where can you build without having to sort of do things all over again. They have existing infrastructure. There's housing stock there that is being underutilized, and it also makes sense today, as we realize now in the high prices of gasoline, people should not have to drive any further those of us in the country still have to drive. And I suppose we'll be moving sometime soon to closer in.
You know, when we started out, I had these grand ideals, you know, that we would, that the town government would be open to dialogue, to discussion. And then as time went on, I realized, well, this is impossible when your town supervisor has such a vested interest in land development, that how can you possibly have an objective conversation or open dialogue?
I don't think it's good for the town. I don't think it's sort of a shame, you know, when you think you see things going in a somewhat wrong direction, whether or not it's going to affect you personally and keenly. It's still it's too bad, you know. You would hope for a more rational approach to problems of growth and development.
Yeah, I was asked, why didn't you resign? Just resign and leave and then sell your land. Would that have made me better? I still would have been the supervisor that had buddies on the board that passed the deal. In the meantime, I'd be on the outside, like I told you in the beginning, trying to say what's going to happen to the rest of my farmland, because now I'm not involved with politics. And on purpose, I left the meetings, you know, when they made decisions. I mean, I left the building, and they did a good job. So that's awkward, but I did what I felt I needed to do. And I think most people, well, I got elected again, so difficult.
Some people say that's why they don't come to see me, because they're ashamed of what they've done.
You told me once about what you thought might have happened if George Harrington was still alive.
It would have never happened. He wouldn't let it happen. He was like a brother to me.
I don't know what happened, but as I say, I think if my dad was alive, probably would have never happened this way. But now, you know, my brothers bought it, and they're all just starting to develop it, and you know, that broke his heart. You know, that was the deal.
They always said I was one of the family, but no more. The money got the best of me, I guess.